Hi everyone, welcome to this video, and in this video I'm going to talk about the last week homework. So the new assignment is use the color wheel and color your character or background. So basically I ask you to use this color wheel, and it's attached to this post, and create and color your character with it. And if you want to render it or cel shade it, it doesn't just do what you like, but I want to focus on colors the next lesson. And then you can see the previous video about color theory, so you can use it, for example, if you want to paint your character with complementary a color scheme, or with and try it like this. And but watch the last video for some more tips about that. And please mail that before 16 August and send one image, JPEG or PNG, so it's easy for me to put it in this file. So let's dive in the homework. And Franciella had a question for me. Hi Mitch, could you help us create pieces for portfolio? Example, exercises of pieces and formats of how they are best presented if it is necessary to have diverse possessions of the same character. If it's nice to have landscape objects, what is most important to show is the best way to do it. That's a really big question, and I have the feeling I could do a whole lesson about it. And one day I want to do that, but I have to think on how I want to shape that. But what I can say in my experience are that the most thing is ask yourself, what do you want to be? For example, do you want to be a character artist, or do you want to be a background artist, or both, or something different? And create a portfolio with that. Don't put stuff in your portfolio you don't want to do. And I personally, I guess, so yeah, you guys see that I like to draw characters and environments. But if I'm applying at a company, I ask myself, are they looking for characters or looking for backgrounds, or maybe both? And then I send a specific portfolio for them. So for example, if I know they're looking for character artists, I only send characters. So think about that. And also what I do is often I pick one theme or something like what did I do? I made a couple of, no, when was it? I think a year ago or something. I went to Trojan Horse and Unicorn, THU Festival. And there you could talk with companies, and there I made a portfolio. So one portfolio piece I made was with animals in a harbor, and there I created the puffin with his boat. Maybe you've seen that project. So I made drawings of the boat, I made drawings of the puffin, I made of his house and how his house looked from the inside. I made of all the people that are living there. So I really tried, I did it like it was, I applied to some movie companies. And so I created my own art book, for example. So, and that really works, because then you're showing that you, that you could work for something like that. And my second piece was with a little girl that was living in Amsterdam. and that was friends with an elephant. So I created the street where she lives in, I created the elephant and the parents, and so on. So yeah, I would recommend that. Create your own, if you want to work for movies, create, should be this, create your own movie art. And if you want to be a character artist, create a lead character, a side character, the parents, the enemy, and so on. And I think that's really, and I really believe they want to see those things. They actually told me that they like to see that. So I hope that answers a bit of your question, and I think I could make a post one day about that where I explain it a bit more clear. So let's go to the homework assignment. Let's go to the drawings from Sean, and always awesome art. I think I've gave feedback about this drawing already. I don't know anymore exactly, but it's really awesome. And the only feedback I would give is maybe it's a bit, for my taste, it's a bit too symmetrical. So this is these two parts are the same. So maybe I would maybe put this in the front. So something like this, maybe that this is in the foreground, and maybe I would put this part, yeah, more, yeah, maybe here or something. So that's not really, so that's, yeah, so that it's a bit more, yeah, trying to get a more, on my nose, more interesting composition. But yeah, the line art is really great. And look out for these points here, get a bit close together here. So look out for those tangents. And this one looks really cool. For my taste, a little bit too much blackness. I would use, maybe I would try to make this, oh, on top. Maybe don't go full black, or maybe something like this, or so something like that. And maybe you can use this, make it a bit less ultra black, because maybe this a bit desaturated. It looks, for me, it looks a bit too too black. I think it would work better with a bit more, yeah, colors in it. Maybe you could try it. Just try it with a bit more color in it. You can use this more, but yeah, it can also be a style choice. Maybe you can, let me see, maybe there's some, you can use a bit more of this smoke here. Maybe you could make that softer or something. Let me see. Yeah, I think maybe there's a lot light of coming off, and these things aren't that far, so maybe you can also give it this color. And a drawing can be dark. That's no problem. So maybe something like this. And maybe let's see what we can do with these. No, I want it to be darker. So maybe like this. Yeah, I would take some time to, oh, this is really not what I want. Maybe a bit of light here. and here. Maybe you can use some black really here in the distance or something. It's not, yeah, let's go total black, just stay here a bit to the max. Yeah, I think you could define it, color it a bit more. And I'm also wondering, this part is going like this here. So here and here. So maybe if this breaks, you would see the more cracks here or something. But it's a bit hard for me to guess why is this going like this? Is that because it's breaking here? But then it would probably look different. Because if this thing would break this stone, you would see this knack here or something. Let's see. Yeah, basically, I think you could add a bit more color. There's too much black for me, and you can still. Yeah, I hope this is this clear. But it also really depends of what you want to show with it. But it looks really nice. It's cool drawing, cool style. Reminds me a bit of those Hellboy comics or something. And those are black and white. So yeah, it also depends a bit on what you want. Yeah, I hope that you keep working on this one and send it for the review for next week. Because then I'm going to focus more on colors. Would be great. Let's look at the drawing from Tony. So awesome drawing. So let's take a look at it. He also made a description of the character. So that's really cool. And yeah, this would be a great character for a comic or for a cartoon show. So the first thing I noticed, maybe here's a nice line in it, but maybe you could make this part a bit more like this and a bit more bent, so you can use that a bit more. Maybe I can take this drawing and put it here. On top of it. So maybe adding some neck, and I would make those outer lines a bit thicker or something. Maybe making this a bit like this here. And I really like that style in your lines. It's really cool. Maybe there's some line here. Then you have a small and a big piece. Here, this arm, and here the shape. Here, this is a bit confusing. Here, this part is going here, and then you have this straight. It looks a bit like a tangent there. So maybe here, put this thing going like this here, and this here. Or maybe we can do it. Maybe it could work this, but then I would do it like this here, that this arm overlaps that other arm. Yeah, I think that would work. So something like this, or maybe, or do it the other way around. Maybe that works better because that hangs. This is pulled down by gravity. Then here we have this piece is on top of that arm. this arm is behind that one. So maybe put that like this here. I don't know yet, but I hope you can see that I try to make those lines a bit more loose from each other. So there's a bit less confusion. Something like this here. I like that this is straight and simple. And here we have those muscles. So like this. And then here we have these hands. And try to think a bit of your line weights. So you see, what I'm always doing is when I'm drawing a gun in someone's hand, I draw it through, so I know a bit how thick the fingers needs to be in the hand. So something here and then here. So maybe that goes there. I think she has 3 fingers. So it would look something like this. Watch out for those tangents. So maybe we could pull this. Maybe we can use that to create some overlap, to create some depth. I think that would be cool. Then we need to look out for those tangents. So here, this is a bit hard. Maybe this works. And it doesn't look like a tangent. Maybe I'm wrong. Sometimes I also need some time to really. The only thing is there's also some sort of tangent here, like this line. That's also confusing. So what we could do is if we pull the shoulder more forward, maybe like this, then it's also getting a bit more dynamic. And then we can put this. Something like this. I'm not really happy with it, but yeah, that would need some time. Yeah. Maybe something like this here. So yeah, keep working on it until you have something you like. And then maybe you can even push this more, getting more line of action in it. So here, this jacket going like this, and this breast here, bend this body even more. So then here, it's cool that it breaks down here, and then maybe pull this leg even a bit more up. Maybe even more like this. You can give this a bit more anatomy, like this here. Maybe pull this feet up like this. Makes it maybe a bit more dynamic. Maybe pull this leg up, so like this. Yeah, and this always takes time to get right, stuff like that. And maybe you can pull up this arm even more, because this arm looks a bit too relaxed. Maybe if you put it more like this, and maybe she's holding a grenade or something like this here. And this is a cool project. I would love to work on this. Maybe there's another grenade. I don't know. So something like this. So trying to push it more. Maybe you can even push this. Let's see. See what I mean? I put a bit more tension. I'm trying to get a bit more tension. I'm trying to push it more. I think the same with this pose. I think you could push this pose even a bit more. Maybe you can do it here. That's you're saying you done with. Use. Maybe it's a bit too much. Maybe not. Maybe you can use a bit more, bit of perspective in the ground. Just a bit to create some depth. And yeah, try to think of your thickness of the lines. If this was a cartoon, she would be on a background, and then you need some thicker lines to let her stand out of the background. But great work, Tony. And I also saw that you sent in the homework for with the figure drawings, and I think I can review that next week. So yeah, great work on this this drawing. Awesome work. Thanks for yeah, sending this cool work in. Let's go to Lucas. So hi, and let's look at this drawing. So that's cool. And you mentioned, I think you mentioned that you are just starting to work digitally. So that's cool. And I'm thinking a bit, what can I do to help you out? When I'm drawing these kind of things, like this, car, I would first draw the. Let me draw it here. I would first draw the big shapes. So maybe this here, and maybe here. So these are two shapes. And then I draw in the smaller shapes, like here and here. And then I'm looking for the car window. Then for this. And why I'm saying that is if I put this line through, I see that this bumper is up. And I would advise you to, before you start drawing these backgrounds, maybe you can practice drawing the car first. So let's draw this car. I think, how would it look? This here. Let me Google a car. What is this? It's a bit like a beetle. Beetle side view. Oh, yeah, now I see it. Those beetles do look a bit like that. Yeah. So they have this here. So I guess you Googled an image or watched it an image, so that's really good. So then I would make this line here. And I will build this shape. It's going here to the back. And then we have this part here. This part here. So I think you did a great job. And I think the car is compared to the building very big. But maybe if I was you, maybe you can try, maybe for next week, try to draw the car like this. So really focus on the car first, drawing car. And of course, if you like it, the whole creating a whole background is great. But I would also advise you to practice drawing these things separately, so you can really focus on creating this. So, and if you draw this, then maybe you can draw the front of the car. So something like this. Let me search for the Beetle front view. And then you can see this here. And maybe this is a good exercise if you want to improve on your drawing. So maybe here. So I'm drawing these lines to see if the proportions are the same. We have actually this light here. So I'm learning myself as well how Beetle looks. Maybe something like this here. Then here's the wheel. And then here. And then I can just put this part here. It should be a bit more narrow. So something like this. And now I could draw it in perspective. So maybe it's interesting to see what if you draw this car in a box. So first you draw a box like this. And so, but before you dive in drawing complete backgrounds, I would practice drawing these things first. First the side view, and then this box. And that can be really hard. So maybe a car is too hard to start with. And so let's draw this box. What you can also do is you can take this car. I don't know if you have Photoshop. Then I sometimes put this. So if I really want to figure out stuff, I can take these parts and put this here. So you put this in. So something like this. These together. A bit lower in opacity. And then I start drawing in these shapes in this box, like this here. So here this goes here. So now I'm trying to think in 3D. And this can be quite difficult. It's a good exercise and you learn a lot from it. So this bit too wide. It's probably something like this. The sides are actually that wide. So here we have this part. And then we have these parts of the wheel sticking out like this here. But I hope you start noticing that, that this is a way. And this takes time because now I see the wheels are off and stuff like this. This can be a bit hard to draw. And maybe you would start maybe a bit simpler. So maybe that's why I think maybe starting with a house or something is more easy. So here the wheels. Then here we have the windows. But just practicing this will let you think more in 3D. And it's hard, but your mind will start learning a lot from these exercises. And yeah, where you can start with is to practice drawing things like cubes and circles, and try drawing stuff like that. Maybe start to draw a house in 3D, so something like this. I've made some videos about drawing these kind of objects. Maybe you can start with something like this. Here this roof, and then draw this chimney on it, and so on. And yeah, because I think there's here, it's just a bit too much. I think that the big thing is that this car should be smaller. Think of the proportions, and yeah, and if the car hits it here, there should be something like, I think the car would be broken instead of that house. Maybe here some things, and yeah, I would start learning to draw with these basic things. Maybe look at some of my first lessons on Patreon. You could start with it, and you can send those drawings. But yeah, keep drawing, keep going, and maybe you can try to make a car in drawing the car in 3D. So, and I made a video about drawing a house in perspective. Maybe that video can help you. So thanks, Lucas. Awesome to have you on the Patreon. Let's look at Yvonne. So Sanchez works long hours at the market and comes home from work, likes to take a bed and play with his toys. He gets shy if people find out. Oh, okay. He made 2 different versions of him. That's funny. So it's cool that you use this bottle and these shapes. So let's see. I think what could help you with drawing is to watch out for these parallels. It can be style, but if you want to draw, yeah, I think it always looks a bit more interesting if you avoid those parallels. So maybe something like this, and watch out for these lines are coming together a bit much, and maybe give him this for these arms, so he looks kind of muscular. I think put this towel maybe. Let's see how his anatomy would work. So I think something like this. So the towel should be a bit lower. Then here we have this arm. And what you want to do is straight. So you don't want to draw an arm like this. I think it looks way more interesting if you draw an arm like this, for example. And it's a bit straight. And he's holding that car. Here he is holding this car, so you would see his fingers. Maybe more like this. Also a bit strange. Maybe here. So maybe try to keep one side simple and one side like this, and then maybe those hands, and then this car. And then watch out for putting all these lines here together. Try to avoid those tangents. And here we can draw this arm as well. Maybe here one line. Then here. And you could hold this duck like this. Here. For this head, let's see. Here we have this shape. Try to draw it a bit. Try to think this is a 3D object and that this shape is going around it. And draw these eyes here and there. And this could work, that mouth. Maybe you could push it a bit more up. Maybe that everything is being pushed up a bit there. Some other thing I think I've seen is that these three are the same height. Maybe it would be funny to play around a bit with that. So maybe he has his head here. He has these eyes here. Then his nose. Then his mouth. Maybe it's fun to make this mouth really big because you're trying to make to use small, medium, and big and play around with that. So here, maybe give these ears maybe a bit more construction. I like that he pushes these shoulders up. Here, this towel. Maybe, let's see, so his head is this long. So maybe we can give him this really tiny body. And maybe he has a bit of a belly or something. And then give him this really long legs. Maybe you can draw a bit more of the feet. Or maybe try to think also a bit more in 3D. So like this here. So you're using a bit of the, so you're getting a bit depth in it. Using these arms here. think of how he holds these objects in 3D in his hands. What I mean with that, if you have this object, you put a hand around it, so you get something like this. And also with these shapes, they wrap around. And also with shapes like this here, you can maybe use a big shape, small shape, and a medium shape or something. Or play around a bit, try to make small shape, big shape, medium shape, and big shape again, and small shape. So play around a bit with those proportions a bit. And lately I'm making new tutorials about that on my Instagram, and I will also make some character design tutorials soon more. But I think it would be really funny to have this character and this character. Oh. And together, that this is the thin character and this is the thick. Would be a nice duo. This could be a cool cartoon. And also for a portfolio piece, you could make a whole show about these characters. I think that would be really fun because there's contrast between these two characters. So nice. Yeah, like that. This one is a bit wider and this one is thinner and longer. Nice work, Yvonne. Cool. Let's go to Gil Herman. So this is a great exercise for perspective. Let's see. And I think you did really great on the perspective. So I don't think I can say much about that. So yeah, this just looks really cool. So maybe what you could do is, yeah, here's this plank, should also maybe have some thickness like this here. And maybe I could make it bigger. Of course, it also depends a bit on the style you want to work in. But I think you could draw a bit more in it. I'm also feeling that those are really big piers. I wouldn't go to this edge. I would fill it a bit off. So then we have this. This really well. So the technique is really good. So here, then we have this line, but these are really big piers. So, but maybe it's an maybe you could draw on. Maybe it would be really cool if you would draw on a bee in it. So here, draw a bee. It is a shopping cart. So that is also in perspective. But it will be really funny. So here, so something like this. And maybe there's this this baby bee in it. So, something like this. And maybe there's also this their little dog, and I don't know, something like that. So maybe that's cool. Maybe she's going to get one of those spears, or maybe she's holding one of those spears. Maybe that would be cool. But then it makes sense that these things are that big. Watch out for these points. Then try to make it like this, because we call it tangents. So, and choose for this or this, but not that those edges coming together there. Maybe you can put one out of frame here. And maybe you have this lamp here. Maybe you can give this lamp also some structure. Maybe you can, if you would put that character there, maybe you can, yeah, put that port somewhere different. Of course, if you have this, you wouldn't see it like that. I think they would maybe put it here out of stock. So think a bit about what you're drawing. So here, put this spear here, and yeah, that's it. That's maybe you can start drawing some character in it, or maybe you can try to draw a 2-point perspective. Try it in a 2-point perspective, but keep drawing. You did the 1-point perspective very good. So great work. Thanks, Gulharme. And let's look at Anders. I have some questions. Let me read the questions. Yeah, I think with a drawing like this, you can also use the colors straight away. Maybe that's a bit. For example, if you, in this case, you made. Let me really do this quickly. You first did the gray colors like this, and this here. You can also color them. So using maybe green, and then color these colors like this, and then figure it out, because indeed sometimes can be a bit tricky to get those colors right how you want it. So yeah, if it doesn't work with gray, it's totally fine to do it that way. And because sometimes can be hard, and I also draw a lot on top of it if I use that gray first. Maybe use that gray first for characters or something. That's way more easy to do with that. When you do flattening, I guess you end up with the hard edges for your flatted area. When you do flattening, It's a bit harder issue flat damage if you are getting rid of the line art. Other line art. Yeah, what I'm doing when I have line art. So let's show me. So here, there's line art here, and there's some house. Let's draw a house here. So what I will do is I first draw the house. So, and then I add the colors to it. Then I check, does it work without lines? No, I need to draw in some more stuff. So I draw in some shadows. Like this. And this. It's a bit darker. I think, can I put the lines off? No, not really. And then I just keep working on it until I can put the lines off. So in this case, yeah, at one point you need to, yeah, what I often do is then I put those lines on, and then I, for example, if there's an, I would explain it quickly. So something like this. Then sometimes I put it off, I put it on again, and then I paint a new piece. And I put the lines off and I see, oh, is it all clear? Now I need to make some shadow here. And there's no, yeah, it's just, I put the lines off and look at how it looks, and then I keep adding stuff. So maybe like this window, blue, and then I check it. So I think here, if you put these lines on, there's not that much contrast between it. I almost need the PSD to make a good version of this. Let me see. I think, to be honest, I think at this stage you could maybe keep aiming a bit more on the drawing part. And for example, here these arms are looking a bit weird. I would maybe showing a bit more of the hands like this here. Maybe put these arms a bit down, like this here. And that you see these hands pushing the bushes to the sides. And I think you can cut off the scene here. And maybe it would be better to show a bit of the side of his head. So you see some action. So you have this backpack. Draw it a bit more from the, yeah, a bit more. Also a bit of the side from that character. You can draw this tree. It's okay, and this tree. Maybe I would put this tree more up here. And I'm wondering if he's is he standing in a tree or is he on the ground, in the bushes? It's a bit confusing because this tree is so low. I would think he's on the ground. So maybe something like this. It's a bit weird because it looks like he's in on top of a tree or something. So maybe it would be better if you maybe see some, maybe there's some birds, some eggs here. So the birds looking there. And there's some tree branches here. And maybe just leave this height trees gone there because it's a bit confusing. Because now it looks like he's watching down from the tree house. Or maybe put this bird here, but just from the side. And then here we have this house. And then this perspective would make a bit more sense. And then we have this character here. And then maybe use this space for the mountains. Awesome. Maybe you can use a branch here. Something here. And then I think also this drawing is a bit lacking. You almost think, and it doesn't work great if I do it now like this here, but maybe this should be a bit darker and this should be a bit lighter. So you get a bit more contrast in it. So I would advise you to maybe keep using those line arts for now and focus on the drawing part and start painting later. Maybe do this here, maybe. So I'm having now this green for the leaves and then use a bit of yellower, lighter green for this here. And for the mountains, use maybe, can use this blue, it's a bit lighter, lighter, do something like that. And blue sky, something. And we have the red house here. Something like this here. And we can give this character some colors. I think that the red looks very well with character, especially on the green. Brown hair, brown back. Maybe you can use some light on these. Here's and here. Yeah, and basically I would keep working on it like this, and it would take quite some time. But these drawings are quite hard, and they do take a lot of time and practice. You could always also draw this scene different, but because here he's looking inside the tree, maybe I don't know what you exactly wanted, what your story was with this drawing, but you can also maybe take this drawing and maybe you're showing him on the ground. So maybe he's sitting on his knees, so like this, and he's looking through the bushes, and then you can draw these trees. Then that would make sense. Then the horizon would be like this. Then we have this house more like this. And then the bear is sitting like this. So there are two options. Option one, that he's sitting on top of a tree in the tree leaves, or he's sitting in the bushes. So yeah, you could go both ways. It's not really clear what you want here. I have a feeling you're going for this one. But nice, Anders, and yeah, just keep working on it, and you will improving on it step by step. So let's look at Irena. So this cool character, and yeah, let's start working, drawing on this. So one thing I would advise you is, the first sketch is really important. And what I would recommend you is using this action line, here, this line, and it's in the drawing, but I think you can use it more. So here, and also thinking of maybe the shoulders like this, and then the hips like that. So then you have this arm is going straight on this back. We push this back a bit more out. So something like this here. And then here use this. I'm always using the simple versus complex side. So here's almost a straight line. And here's almost this detailed line. And here she has this close. So maybe we can use that to add some dynamic on the drawing. So here, this around here. And then here we have her clothes, and then maybe her hair is also going like this. I think you get a way more dynamic drawing this way, and maybe put this arm here. And think of the foreshortening. So foreshortening is when an object goes into the depth. And think of how this hand would look. Maybe you can push this head a bit more out or something. And think of the angles. Give it angles, the drawing. So put that head maybe a bit of this angle, and then their body on this angle, and then their legs on this angle. And that it goes with this action line. maybe here. Maybe push this leg maybe here, because this is the leg she's standing on. So that pushes on. And this leg look almost mirrored. So maybe it's cool if you put this leg like this. And it's really cool that you get this angle. So play around a bit with the, to give it a bit more, push it a bit more. Maybe push this a bit more. She's standing a bit more here, and push these angles. The shoulders a bit lower here. Or maybe you want this to be up. And then, yeah, maybe this would work better. So here the shoulder is higher and the shoulder is lower. And maybe this leg standing on, yeah, this one is loose. But yeah, try to get, I think it's cool if you try to get a bit more of that, that action line in it. And also with this arm, here you have these two lines going like this. Think of overlap. So what I mean with that is, here we have this line. So this line is her arm going in the front, then it should be something like this. Because then this part is in front of this part. And same here. So here you're using that, but I think this line should be on top of this here, because this arm here, and you can also use these angles here. So this also looks maybe a bit too straight. So it should be in the middle, I think. So something like this. Maybe you can use here also an angle, slightly more angle in it. But the biggest thing I would give you is to push it a bit more. It's really great art, but it looks a bit too straight. And I think you can, yeah. I would love to see a sketch first, because you already put a lot of detail in it. And I think you would really have a lot on practicing figure drawing. Also here, these are at the same height. It would already be cooler if you maybe give one of those in the front, then maybe one of those here in the back. Something, then you already get a bit more perspective in that. So thanks, Irena. Awesome. And yeah, I would really love to see some sketches from you, because your details is already working fine. But maybe you can play around a bit more with making everything a bit more dynamic. So it's like this necklace is going like this, and then it looks like she's actually moving or something. So thanks. I hope you liked the feedback. So let's look at Sylvan and make this cool drawing, and let's take a look at it. Put this a bit down. I'm just going to draw on top of it. So first, let's look at the house and draw the perspective on top of it. So here you can see that these lines aren't going at the same point. And what you want with perspective is that these lines end up the same point. So maybe we can choose for this perspective here. Then for the other side of the house, also, so here, you know, the horizontal line, and maybe you can watch that video. I will post the video in the comments, so you can look at that. It's a perspective video I made, or look at the video I think from 2 weeks ago or 1 week ago. So I would draw this house on this perspective. So like this roof is going here, then here, and then here. So let me put the house, put it here, this off, this in the folder. Then let's draw on top of this. So here we have this part. This goes like this here. And I normally try to think of how everything is built. So this is a piece of wood that has thickness. It's maybe going like this, going like this here. So think of how it is constructed. So here. And this is a great exercise if you're a beginner and you're trying to think of what you can do to practice. I think practicing drawing these kind of houses can really help you with making your first steps in drawing environments. So here, and then you can draw in this window, and these lines go to this point. And of course, you can play around a bit with the, you don't have to follow those lines exactly. But yeah. And yeah, I will post that video where I explain more about it. Let's look at the rest of the background. So the horizon line is here. But then still we can draw in these mountains here, or hills there, and draw this here, and then we have these here and here. So I think this is all fine. But this tree, it looks like it's on top of this here, this part. So maybe I would maybe make this different. I would leave the tree out. I wouldn't use that tree there. So let's imagine we're getting the tree away. And I appreciate that you're going for that foreground object to get that. But you can also try that on different ways. So what maybe would work better, maybe you can use some, maybe you can just draw a tree here as well. So something like this. And maybe there's a bush here. Maybe you can show a bit more of that. Or yeah, just maybe you can. Maybe the sun is here, and then there's this tree branch here or something. I'm still thinking a bit. maybe there's here a tree branch, or maybe I have a feeling that the tree branch of that foreground thing isn't working here. So maybe I would put bush here, and then the tree here. Maybe for this this road, maybe you can, if you make this point here wider than this point, you also get a sense of depth. Maybe here as well. Maybe you can give this, no, it's a bit too much. I also have a feeling that this house maybe should be a bit smaller. Take this part, make it a bit smaller. Something like this. And if there's roads here. So then you can, then it makes also a bit more sense. So and then you can use this road. It's getting smaller and smaller in the distance. Maybe you can use some more. It's not that straight, but it's a bit like this. Let's see. Maybe this works. And maybe goes a bit like this. Now I'm also now searching. So and that is normal. That's how drawing goes. You try out things and you see if it works. And don't be afraid to change things. So something like this. Maybe you can, and now there would be a place to maybe draw a tree here. So like this here. So maybe those kind of narrow trees with these textures on it. So then you get this. You still have that foreground element there. So maybe make this a bit more like here. Yeah, small things. And I will post a drawing house video so you can practice your perspective. But nice work, Sylvain. Keep practicing this and you will keep improving. Let's look at Sally. And yeah, this is a cool drawing. Awesome. Let's look what I can say about it. So I think he really used the rule of thirds good. So this is nice on the horizon in this perspective. I only have the feeling that this should be a bit more like this. If the tops, if all the sides are even along, it feels that this side is a bit too far out. Just a feeling, and you could check that by maybe looking at the perspective. Then you can, yeah, I think this would make more sense, and you could test it. I think by if you're flipping the canvas, and I do that with edit, transform, flip horizontal, and I've made an action with that in Photoshop. So here's action. And I made this flip action in Photoshop. And then I press F2 and then it flips the canvas. So let's see. So here's that. Here this goes in the distance, and then we have this here. And from my feeling, it should be something like this here. This would make more, or maybe even a bit more. Let's make a pyramid that is more even on both sides. For example, if we put this here, yeah, this side looks a bit too long. Or maybe it's on purpose, can also be. Then you can figure out this point in the middle by if you're getting this line in the middle here. So if we have this point, and we divide it in the middle, then we know that this line, that here everything is in the middle. So we can, if we want to draw the logo here, control it there. The same with the building. Maybe you can draw these lines. You know, this is 25%. Then maybe you can draw these lines like this here. So now we know it's this line. Should be a bit lower. So here. And I think you did a really great job with that. That looks really great perspective. So awesome job. And I think we're standing on a roof. What can I say more about it? So here these clouds. Maybe you can play around a bit with those clouds a bit more. So maybe make this cloud more like this or something. And then here as well. So what I'm saying is then maybe if you make this one a long one, there's a bit more diversity in the different clouds. Yeah, I think there's not that much to say about drawing. Maybe you could draw a road or something. It also goes to this point. Something. And see that these go straight up, but of course, if there's a door here, this door should be going along with that. The same with these lines, of course. I think these, and you can figure it out like this. So then you know. What I would do basically is I make a separate layer with a blue color and just draw in some lines. Put the opacity down. And then I just guess those angles. So here. But if you have these lines, then you would expect that the pyramid is like this. Could also be that you draw the pyramid like this with these kind of steps. But I don't think you were going for that kind of pyramid. So I would make these stones these angles. And the same with this object. This object here, these stones should also have these angles. Or else yeah. So this object should also follow that angle. So maybe you can first draw a shape, maybe a round shape, that is on this perspective, and then draw in that shape. So it feels a bit more if it's on this angle. But nice work, Sally. Awesome background, and hope to see more of it. So Pascal, awesome drawing, and let's see. There are a couple of things I noticed, and I like that you did this. So I'm just going to draw on top of it. So maybe it's cool if you have this river going like this, maybe. And then there's this thing in it. Or maybe you can also make it more interesting to give her this waterfall or something. So something like this. And then it gets wider here. And then maybe there's this plateau here. Something. And then here, if this tree, and you see this tree is in the distance. So I would imagine that the tree should see here. Yeah, you see a bit more of this. You won't see those branches, I think, like that. And maybe you can draw in a big tree here, maybe. So you really get this depth. Then here you have this tree here in the depth. So like this. Let's see. Yeah, it feels like this tree is, maybe if you wanted to keep it then maybe simpler or something, or I would make them really small. I think if this, make some small trees or something, or the trees that are looking really big, that are in the distance. But this is almost at the horizon, so I would expect you see those trees here. Then here at the horizon, you would see maybe these kind of things. Maybe there are mountains in the distance. So here we have the horizon. Watch out for these points. Maybe this is a tree branch or something. I don't see what it actually is. So what you could do is maybe if it's a tree branch, you could draw a piece of the tree here and then draw in that branch here. And then maybe here draw in branch, so something like this. And maybe here are leaves. And maybe here's this river going like this here. And maybe there's this another tree here. And this branch here. And, or maybe you don't see branch this tree even. Maybe you just see that some parts of it. So like this. And maybe you're seeing a tree here going like this. And it's cool that you have these things here. What I also miss a bit in this drawing is a focus point. What are you trying to tell? So maybe there's this. If you would work with a grid, maybe you see a character walking here. He's walking through the forest like this. And he's walking. Maybe he's going to walk on top of this, over this beak on this water. Then you would show something like this. So then this would give a lot of more meaning to the drawing as well. So try to get a little bit of story in it. And it's also easier to think about it. But think of things in the distance. So trees in the distance, they get more abstract. Look at some background drawings maybe. So maybe you can try to put a bit of a story in it. And one last time, for example, if I put this tree here, I would make maybe this tree way smaller. I think that, yeah, I should have said that right away. I think that makes it way better. Maybe even make this more wider, and maybe here adding some more things in the background. And what you also have, that this green gets a bit, yeah, maybe a bit more grayer and bluer because of the atmospheric perspective. So quite some things. Yeah, maybe you can try to add a character or something in the background like that. But yeah, cool work, Pascal. Nice. And let's look at Chaw, and to have that color wheel here, yeah. That color wheel in here. So she asked for the color palette. I think you used this somewhere here. Comes there, and yeah, I think you choose for a 3-part color, and that's really cool that you have been using a bit of yellow, blue, and this pink color. So you get a bit of this color scheme. And it's cool that you're mainly, this is your main color. And this is your detail. And this is your secondary color. So that's really cool. So here you're using this color, especially in the background and the hair for, I don't know, so it's 60%. This is 5%. And this is 25. No, 35 then. 35% or something. It's really cool, and that's really good to use, to not use all 30%, but to distribute it a bit. But I think it's really nice. Maybe you could add some more shadow to it. I don't know. Maybe that's not what you want. Maybe that could create some more depth. I think you already did a great job. I don't want to mess too much with it. What happens if we make this darker? We can make this side darker and this lighter or something. So you can add some gradient in here. Could try that. But yeah, nice. Not too much to say about this. It's just really cool. Maybe you can use some more shading. It can also be a style, of course, but maybe you can also make this hair give a bit more shading. Also this ear, maybe this ear is a bit darker because it would be less less light on. We give this a bit of shading as well. Light is coming from here, so we give some highlights here. I think you can use, you can add a bit more contrast in those things more. But nice work. Your use of color is really great in this one. So great work, Charles. And yeah, that was the last one. So thanks everyone for sending me your drawings. And thanks, and I hope to see your homework for next week. Thanks everyone, and let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Bye.